What's up, y'all? Thanks for coming back for another week. So, like you see in the video, we did get a little bit of accumulation on, I believe that was Friday. Not a whole lot, just enough to kind of signify the end of the mowing season, and enough to give us a little bit of a nice storm as well. So it knocked down a bunch of tree limbs and power lines. So work was a little bit crazy because we had quite a few of our offices that were down due to the down power lines. So it was kind of crazy, but the snow didn't stick around very long. So this weekend I was able to get back out in the yard, got a little bit nice out, so I was able to get some things done. So coming up in this video, I've got some fall lawn weeds to get rid of prior to it snowing again. So hopefully I can get rid of some weeds throughout the fall here and into the winter, so I have less to deal with in the springtime. So with the temperatures being nice out this weekend, I was able to get out and take the mower across my yard where there was a bunch of leaves that were accumulating again. So that's part of my video is, should you bag or should you mulch the leaves that's in your yard? Depends on how many leaves are in your yard. So stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for my upcoming plans for the 2019 season. I think I'm going to be changing up my my fertilizer strategy, so stay tuned. What's up, everyone? It is Sunday, November 18th, a few days before Thanksgiving. Temps actually perked up quite nicely. It's supposed to be pretty nice throughout the whole week. I believe 50 degrees on Thanksgiving here. So since it's going to be in the 50s most of the week, I do have some weeds that have popped up over time, mostly just some broadleaves. And GCI Turf Pete, he just posted up a video about spraying some fall weeds. So it kind of gave me the idea. I was like, yeah, that's pretty nice. I should probably do the same. So looking through my garage, I actually ran out of the Ortho Weed B Gon that I typically would use for just basic broadleaf weeds. However, I do have some of this other stuff that I was originally using to kill the crabgrass out of Try-To, but this kind of a general purpose herbicide. So it'll take care of crabgrass. It has quinclorac and it has 2,4-D, it has dicamba, so it's a good all-around herbicide. So I've got some ivy and a little bit of clover and just some basic broadleaf weeds that I'm going to go through and spray out. Since it is 50 out, I did RTFM. Low temps on this is 50 degrees all the way up to 90, which would be the cutoff for, I believe, the 2,4-D. So I am going to mix up I believe 2 ounces of this per gallon, and that'll give me roughly about 400 square foot of treatment area. And I probably don't even have that much. There's just some real small stuff here and there, but I do want to get rid of it while I can. So I'm going to mix them up and get to that. Alright, got my little measuring cup here. Goes up to 4 tablespoons, which is 2 ounces, like so. So I'll go up to the top line here. Give this a little shake. I haven't used this in quite a while. I should probably have some PPE on, but just now thought about it. Just means I need to be that much more careful not to get any on me. As always, I have a specially marked tank for herbicide and the other one for my Roundup only, so I don't get anything cross-contaminating and end up accidentally killing my lawn. So this one I only use for my herbicides. Get in there, yous. water. Luckily, I did not winterize my garden hose yet. Okay, go right here, and up there. There we go. As I put the herbicide in first and then added the water, it should be pretty well agitated up. I get the lid to go on right. Alright, let's go kill some weeds. Stuff I'm talking about where I had a little bit of ivy in here, a little bit through there. There's some other worse areas, but since it's nice out, I want to try to kill this out where I can. Got this little guy here. Oh, look at that one. Definitely one of them that I had seen that I want to get rid of. Looks like they're already kind of starting to die off, browning out, but I want to make sure. Big chunk of it right there. Some of my larger areas of the ivy that I got. There's some there, all through here. This looks like it kind of tailed through. Fortunately, in this area, I've got a little gravel bed here, and every so often it just builds up with clover and stuff. Usually, after so many months, I'll just make up a batch of glypho and just go through and just nuke everything because there's nothing really growing over here that I want to grow. So I'll just glypho it and go on, but since I have this out, might as well just use this. It's all bumpy from the mold that I had in here. It's all these mounds. It's all really soft through here. But he learned his lesson. So as you saw in the last video, I did get him. Alright, so I was going through cleaning up some leaves. Starting to get a little heavy. So took the mower and went over it. And it brought me to a topic that I saw being asked quite a few times on some of the Facebook lawn care pages. when do I bag, when do I mulch? So, this area through here, roughly from about this tree on over, I mostly mulched it, but I did not have that many leaves on this side of my side yard here. From this tree over, wasn't as bad as this, but it was kind of more like this area through here. And so that I end up bagging. What I was seeing, I thought I could mulch it, it might be okay. You can see some of these leftover leaves all up through here and kind of carried through here. That did not blow over. That was actually after I went through and tried to mulch it. And you can see over here, I did not have that problem. Reason being, this area was a little bit too heavy to try to mulch it. So when you have an area like this and you go over it, most likely you're going to end up with a bunch of chunks of leaves that are going to sit on top of the lawn. That you do not want, because you're going to ultimately end up smothering out your grass, create fungus. Not a very good time. So all this through here, ignore my mud stripes down the end. Got a little bit wet from the ice storm we had, and big old 10-foot branch that fell in my yard from the neighbor's tree. Found that in my backyard this morning. But so my suggestion is, if your leaves look anything like this or heavier, bag it. If it's fairly light, like this side over here on my front yard, I have not touched yet. I probably won't even have that many leaves over here because this tree has finally dropped. All those leaves were blowing into my yard. They finally went away. Now, so this over here, I probably wouldn't even really do much with. But maybe like if you see some of these leaves up through here, it's not very heavy, that you could mulch through it, and it would mulch it down to the ground and you wouldn't have an issue. So I guess a general rule would be, if you go over with the mulching and you see leaves on top, go back over and bag it. So if it's ugly, bag it. So hopefully this is one of my last, well, can't say it. This definitely isn't going to be my last mowing to get the leaves up, because this tree has not dropped probably even half of its leaves yet. So I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. But as of right now, I think that looks pretty good. I won't worry as much about over here, but my backyard on the side here, that was covered in leaves really bad last week. I'll probably have to go over that again, and that will be a bag as well because it looked pretty heavy. Another thing to maybe point out, so it's getting kind of grainy, but if you can see through here, all that they went through, that was a bunch of leaves that was underneath this tree here. It collected up, they went over it with a riding mower, side discharged it. You can see how ugly that looks. So they just tried to chop them up, get them out from underneath the tree. Maybe they'll hold down a little bit better, so maybe it'll stay out of my yard. I don't know, doubtful. But that is going to cause an issue for them because it's sitting so heavy on top of the grass. Ultimately, they're going to smother out the grass, and they'll end up with some fungus issues come springtime. They'll probably get some snow mold, so they're going to have some issues. What they should have done is probably side discharged it if they're going to use a riding mower. Side discharge it all into a pile, rake it up, and then get rid of it from there. And then probably I would go over it again a couple times, just try to really get it spread out and try to get it down into the grass as best you can, so it's not sitting on top of it. But that's my recommendation. So bagging or mulching, there's my tip. Alright, so I got one last part to this video before I call it for the week. So as I was mentioning earlier, I was going to talk about my 2019 plans. So with these plans, I am planning on making the switch to a new fertilizer that is coming out that is called Carbon Earth or Carbon X. So this is a new fertilizer, Matt Martin aka the Grass Factor.
is partnered up with John Perry with Greene County Fertilizer to create this new fertilizer. The analysis is quite a bit different than, say, like Milorganite or Ringer that I am typically used to using. Instead of a 640 nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium macronutrient numbers that you'd find in Milorganite, or I believe a 1006 in the Ringer. The analysis of the carbon X is a 2404, so it's quite a bit more nitrogen than normal, and say in like the Milorganite. However, the cool thing with the carbon X is it has RGS kind of injected into it. So it uses the biochar to kind of soak that up, and so that biochar actually helps with the fertility of the soil, plus you have that RGS already in it. So you have the humic acids and sea kelps to kind of help with micronutrients and help make that the nutrients readily available. So I did ask Matt, because I am one, if you see in my other videos, I typically will use a humic acid and sea kelp mixture. I put my little Chapin hose end sprayer, and I'll spray the whole yard with a sea kelp and humic acid mixture at a rate of about 1 ounce per 1,000 square foot. So I asked him, like, if I use the carbon X, will I still be able to use my additional humic acid and sea kelp? So Matt said that it will not affect anything if I use the additional humic acid and sea kelp, although it's not necessary. So we got into a little bit more discussion between Matt, myself, and another person, and we were discussing the actual numbers that were in the carbon X in regards to like how much actual humic acid and how much sea kelp was in the carbon X per application. So there's some going back and forth, and the way my math worked out to is on paper, and the numbers might vary a little bit, but it was roughly 0.18 ounces per pound of humic acid and like 0.09 ounces per thousand of the, or sorry, per pound of the sea kelp. So in all, if you're doing an application at the suggested rate of 3 pounds per 1,000 square foot, that would give me just over, I believe, a ½ ounce of humic acid and a little over a ¼ ounce of sea kelp per application. So it's pretty good, and to have that kind of already built in and put that down. So then I will continue to put in my humic acid and sea kelp to continue to give those extra micronutrients into the lawn. So on top of switching over to Carbon Earth or Carbon X, I do plan on trying an application of the Dr. Iron iron supplement. So per, I believe it's 2 videos ago, I was talking about the ironite and whether or not it was safe for our lawn due to the amounts of arsenic that was found in the ironite originally, and I found that there was still quite a bit of arsenic in the ironite currently. So I plan on trying the Dr. Iron for, actually, it's 2 different reasons. One is I want to try to put down an iron supplement onto my lawn to try to green things up a little bit darker. I feel that even though it's kind of greened up a little bit and gotten a little bit darker, I feel that I can get it a little bit darker. And 2, the Dr. Iron has, the way it works, it uses an iron oxide and then it is coated in a sulfur. So then when the sulfur breaks down, it will actually bring the pH probably more within the levels that I want. I'm sitting currently neutral at about a 7 on the pH scale. I would imagine it'll drop it down to, I'm hoping to get it down to like maybe like a 6.3, 6.5 area. So then that sulfur will bring my pH down to that level, and once that breaks down, then the iron oxide will be released, and because that is all kind of broken down, that iron will be a little bit more readily available. and should work pretty decent with the lawn. So not only is my pH going to be dropped down, the iron will then be actually a little bit more usable and a little bit more acidic compared to what I am now. Be a little bit more readily available and be able to be picked up quickly. So then my last thing that I am planning on doing is, so as you've seen in a lot of my videos, I only have 2 hand cans that I use plus my Chapin hose end sprayer. So my 1 hand can is for just spraying herbicides to spot treating any weeds I have in my lawn, and then I have a second hand can that is glyphosate only. So if I want to do some sort of broadcast spray, a full lawn treatment of something, I would have to use the Chapin sprayer, and I'm having to drag the hose around the lawn and make all these separate passes and kind of stretching the hose out to be able to reach everything. So my plan is I want to get a backpack sprayer. So I've brought it down to 2 different options. One is a Sprayers Plus 105E. They also have a 105EX, which is a little bit more. I believe it's like $30 more. The main difference is all the components of the sprayer is enclosed in the EX versus the E is more of an open component design. So if it rains or something on it, you have a chance of messing up those components. I don't plan on spraying in the rain, so I'm not worried about that. And then the other option was the Strom 4-gallon backpack sprayer. Both of them have the option through GCI Turf to buy a custom-made boom attachment that will allow you to spray a 8-foot wide swatch. So it's like $80 for the attachment, and it's like $240 for the Strom, $200 for the Sprayers Plus. So the difference between the Strom and the Sprayers Plus models that I'm looking at is the Strom is a 4-gallon backpack sprayer that has a rechargeable 18-volt battery, and it runs at 58 psi. You can get roughly about 30 tanks per charge out of the Strom, versus the Sprayers Plus. That is also a 4-gallon, but it's a 20 volt and does 40 psi. So I kind of like the ability to have that additional psi on it, so you can run a little bit higher spray. So that's the main difference between the two. I feel that I am going to go with the Strom backpack sprayer with that boom attachment, just so it's a little bit easier to do a full lawn treatment. If I do end up doing some other sort of applications, either a liquid pre-emergent, or if I want to do some sort of broadcast spray of some other sort of herbicide, then I can easily put that down. Pete at GCI Turf said that he mixed up, he had a couple different chemicals he mixed up of the GCF products. I believe it was maybe like an RGS and Aerate or something, maybe the microgreen even. Mixed them up in the sprayer, filled it up, and sprayed 17,000 square foot in 17 minutes. I have roughly about 15,000 square foot, so I believe if I did the same, I should be able to spray my whole lawn in one spray, or maybe one and a half tanks, in roughly 15 minutes. That's awesome, and my wife would definitely be happy about that, because she hates when I'm out in the lawn for about 4 hours at a time. So she's stuck watching the kids while I'm out playing in the lawn. So she's not cool with that sometimes, especially when the kids are fighting. So less time out in the yard, yet I can still get some good results. So I think I'm going to go with that. Christmas is coming up. There's deals on the products right now on both GCI and Lawn Care Nut sites. So I'll be looking through that. Maybe I'll even try some of the GCF products, maybe like the Aerate or something, since it's on sale. Lawn Care Nut actually created a package deal that was like the like cousin of Carbon X or cousin of X, that was kind of meant to work with Carbon X. They just removed the RGS out of it because RGS is already in Carbon X. So it had some of the other things. I think it had like the microgreen and aerate and dethatch or something, and just did not have the RGS. So that might be something worth looking at to go with this Carbon X product. But it'd be something decent to have even with the backpack sprayer. If I do go with it, it'd be kind of cool to have, and it'll make life a lot easier for me. So, all right, that is going to call it for this week. I greatly appreciate you all sticking around watching the videos. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week.